Welcome to another episode of Life After Corporate, my friends. And if you're new to our show, welcome home. This is where you get the best advice for how to start, grow, and scale a sustainable and successful coaching or consulting practice or any services-based business. And today we have something different to share with you. So my friend Karen Yankovich and I got together and said, instead of doing an interview and instead of doing a solo show, why don't we just talk? Why don't we just share about what we're going through in 2025, what our strategy is, how we're showing up differently, how we're navigating this changing landscape, how we're stepping outside of our comfort zone, and what we're saying no to. So buckle up, my friends. This is a great one. Get your notebook, your journal, your pen, get ready to take notes. You're going to want to listen twice. I'm so excited that we're doing this, Karen. I think it's so much fun rather than, a solo show or an interview, that we can just have a conversation about how we're seeing this year unfold.
Yeah. So before we get into talking about all that, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about Entrepreneurs Unfiltered and how they can, check us out there too.
Absolutely. So every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern time, Karen and I and two other of our great entrepreneurial friends, Jess Sato and Renee Hughes, get together on LinkedIn live for 30 minutes. It's like the View for entrepreneurs, where we take a topic and we share our views on that particular issue for entrepreneurs. And it's great fun, great laughs, storytelling, and the opportunity to hop on in comments and ask us questions. And it was our way of reinventing referrals.
Yes.
So instead of, let's remember why we did it in the first place was instead of who do you know, who can you refer me to, we decided to stream on all 4 platforms at the same time to introduce each other to our respective communities. So that's how we were innovating how we get referrals. And today we're going to talk about how we're innovating in other ways.
Yeah, I love that. And you guys, it's 2 p.m. Eastern every Tuesday. Put it on your calendar. Come join us on LinkedIn. If you go to Deb's LinkedIn, which if you don't know where that is, it'll be in the show notes. Go to my LinkedIn and just go to our activity history, and you'll be able to find the live events and the live videos. And we have an assortment of topics, but it's really, I love it. I love having an opportunity to kind of pick a topic and get different points of view on it. And we do try to, it's Entrepreneurs Unfiltered, right? We do try to not whitewash it. We do try to make it real. So anyway, join us there. So Deb, when we jumped on this call, Deb said to me, I've got an idea. So why don't you tell everybody a little bit about what we're going to do today?
Yeah. So yesterday, off camera, after Entrepreneurs Unfiltered, we were talking about our respective podcasts. So I'm the host of Life After Corporate. Karen is, Good Girls Get Rich. And she said, I need to show up more fully on my own show. And I said the same thing, that it's easy to interview other people. What's harder is to come up with topics and do a solo show for 20 or 30 minutes. And so as I was getting ready for this interview today, I thought, oh, this could be so cool. What if Karen and I just interviewed each other? And then we could stream it on both of our podcasts so that, I don't know, it would just be different. It would be more fun. And we could both talk about things that we care about.
Yeah. And, let me set the stage for this a little bit by saying that my experience, and Deb, I think your experience is as well, and many other of my entrepreneurial friends have a similar experience in that what used to work in our business for lead generation, for filling our programs, for getting high ticket clients, low ticket sales, whatever it is, what used to work simply didn't work in 2024 the way it did before. And it was baffling. And part of our conversation yesterday on Entrepreneurs Unfiltered was, at what point do you walk away from it? So there's the mindset of no, keep going. People are listening. Just keep going. And then there's the thing where it's like, well, but if it's not working, maybe it's time to walk away and try something different. Right. So what are you changing as you move into this year, Deb?
Yeah. So for last year, same thing. I had a system. I had coasted for 3 years on the same marketing strategy, the same 3 offers in my portfolio. And things last year literally at one point came to a screeching halt. It's like people weren't buying in the same way that they were buying. I was getting tired of one of my programs that it felt like a heavy lift to, just create the new content all the time to keep those people engaged and informed. And they were my longest standing clients ever. And I realized that there was this resistance and skepticism on buying help with women who were in the market and struggling with their entrepreneurial ventures, yet they had invested in many things that didn't have a return. So there was a lack of trust eroded. Also, just from a very practical standpoint, people had less money to invest in support. And that had this whole trickle down effect, right? So if people aren't investing in support, those of us who are giving the support need to stop investing in the support that we're getting, and it affects all the way down the line. And a year before, in 2023, I had this idea, I had this intuitive hit that, oh, maybe it's time to launch a membership or, a lower ticket offer for people. And I resisted it because, Karen, we've been trained that you focus on high ticket offers, that you grow a business more quickly if you're selling a $20,000 offer than if you're selling a $200 offer or a $2,000 offer. So we resisted that. And I had met the founder of Mighty Networks, long story short, in October, decided to launch a membership program 2 months later in December. And it is giving me so much joy. I'm so excited about it. So it was an innovation in our business model because a membership is very different than one-on-one coaching, VIP days, or groups.
Yep. Yeah. I'm still resisting that. I haven't gotten all the way there yet, but I'm watching you very closely. So, again, I've done that in the past, and I found, again, years ago, which it's not the same market. And I'm recognizing that it wasn't any easier to get somebody into a $200 a month program as it was to $1,000 a month program. It was just the same amount of marketing effort went into them. And at the higher ticket, people were more invested. They were doing the work. They were getting it done. And that's what I wanted. I didn't want to be dragging people through the strategies. I wanted people to be anxiously, jumping in and actively working on the strategies we teach. But so I hear that, but what I have done is reorganize our programs a little bit for 2025 with that in mind, right? We have a level, I do think too, that what I'm seeing is that people want more of us, right? Mm-hmm. And I love that, right? I love one-on-ones with my clients. I love our group calls. I love meeting them in person. And at the same time, I've got to manage my own energy. Many of you guys know, I had a crazy Q4 in 2024, and yes, or at least the last month of that and the first month of 2025. And I practically had to step out of my business. So had my business been solely based on one-on-one work with me, it would have been a real problem, right? So I've got to manage the desire, my desire to work one-on-one with people and to be able to be interacting personally with them as often as possible with my own energy, right? And my own, what I'm able to do. So what we've done is we've reorganized our She's Linked Up programs. It used to be that our She's Linked, and by the way, if this is the first time you're hearing this, please reach out to me because I'm happy to have a one-on-one conversation with you to explain what this looks like. But it used to be that you had to go through our 12-week program first. That was like the entry level. And it was, the price typically usually landed around $7,000. There were times we increased it and decreased it depending on the support we gave, we've been running it for 5 or 6 years now. So we've changed the different levels of support. And as we change the levels of support, the pricing changes, right? But what we did was we pulled out a lot of the one-on-one and dropped that level lower so that we can get more. I want more women to be showing up in a big way, right? So I'm like, how do I reach them? And at the same time, at the end of the 12 weeks, they had the opportunity to join our high-level mastermind, or She's Linked Up Scale It Society. Well, what we're doing now is we're allowing people to just go right into that. Instead of, you still get that 12-week program, but instead of just getting the program, you actually get a full year with me, and so you get the program and you get the full year. So we've changed it up a little bit so that if you want more one-on-one support with me, you can do that from the get-go. If you want to just get a taste of it, you can get that too. And obviously I still work with people one-on-one. If you want to work with me privately, then we have a level to do that as well. And we're looking at different ways to do this. So that's one of the things that's changing for me in 2025. The other thing that's changing for me, Deb, is I want to be face to face with people more.
Yes.
I want to be face to face with people more. And I'm not quite sure how to do that, because the things that kind of took me out and in the last few months aren't gone, right? So it's not as easy for me to get on a plane and spend a week in California as it might have been a year ago, at least at this moment in time. Maybe later in the year, I'll get back to that because I want to get back to that. But I think that, there's a market. People are craving that. I put that out to my community, my paid community, the other day, and they jumped on it. They all want to get together in 2025 in person. So we're going to be working a lot more on that on a back end, right, with our existing clients, but also on the front end with maybe creating some really fun, high-level networking events for the women that we love to serve.
Yeah, I love that. And that was also part of the impetus of launching the community, was having a built-in, number one, a built-in society that could gather together at any given point in time. Maybe they would even create their own local meetups, as well as maybe having an annual conference or an annual event, and also having it be a feeder for our other programs. Just like you, I had $7,000 offer. No one could work with me for under $7,000. And not everybody who wanted to have success as an entrepreneur had that amount of free capital. And we all hear, it's never about the money. It's not ever really all about the money, but it is about the money sometimes.
Right.
And
Right.
So that's why we launched the community. The other thing is, and you mentioned that everything depended on you, right? So I am in a position in my business now where I'm seeing an exit strategy. So the things I'm looking at are introducing things in my business model that are not dependent upon me being there
Yep.
all the time or being the sole deliverer of the service. So the other thing that I'm thinking of for two, maybe 3 years down the road is licensing. How
That's
do
a
I
great idea.
package my content? Yeah, I just had a conversation with someone yesterday who's an expert in licensing. And it's something where, we've built this stuff up. So just like you, I launched the Launch Lab 6 years ago. And it was designed to help women who are leaving corporate figure out how to launch a business, to test their ideas, test their offers, figure out who their ideal client is, package, price, message their services. And that's something that could be streamlined. It could be taught by other people. It could be taught in many, many different scenarios. So now I'm thinking, especially too with the advent of AI and all of these tools where you can repurpose your slides, repurpose content, people can do voiceovers. There's so many ways that you can leverage your content, which leads me to point number 3, which is monetize everything.
Yes.
So we've started to charge for the replays for our live launches. At the end of last year, I said, I've had it with 3-day launches or 5-day launches. I'm bringing them back because they are so effective, but we do sell the recordings. And if you think about everything that you've created in the last 6, 7, 8, 10 years, there's so much you could be monetizing that would be of value to other people.
That's awesome. I love that. Can we dive back a little bit though to licensing? Tell me what licensing looks like. So are you saying, because I've got a similar thing in mind, but I don't really think of it as licensing, but maybe I should. I think of it like I can certify people as a LinkedIn and PR VA, for example. Right? I can have a LinkedIn and PR VA certification program, or so there's different ways that we can do this. Tell me what licensing, when you think licensing, how do you describe it?
Well, first of all, I'm very new to it. Okay. So I'm still wrapping my head around it.
Yeah, I heard yesterday you started doing it. So I get that.
Yeah. So I'm just wrapping my head around it. Number one could be the model that you just mentioned, that you teach other people how to deliver your content. You give them all the assets, you certify them, they pay an annual license to do it. And when you're teaching other people in your category how to do it, you might get, $20,000 a year for that individual to license your IP and deliver it in their way. And there's many different ways. They can deliver it themselves. It could be a white label, or it could just be a package of your content that people resell and they tack on to their programs and they charge for it. Or you could sell it to an organization that has a lot of different offerings, that has your ideal client audience, and they kind of like purchase it as part of their value proposition. So
Yeah.
I'm just exploring. So right now I'm just thinking about it. I don't even have time to wrap my head around it till at least August. So I think for now I want to do some thinking about it. I want to talk to some people who I think would be excellent partners in this new initiative. But I am thinking about a profitable exit in 5 years. So that has caused me to think very, very differently about my business model that was heavily dependent upon me doing all the mentorship and advisory. And I've even gone through the process of bringing someone else on who was a former client to deliver. And that worked out really well, but it still required my time. And it's almost like building a consultancy where you have bench talent and your profits are reduced because you're now paying someone else to deliver the
Right.
content. So
Right.
when you look at profitability and what's most scalable, I think licensing is an interesting model.
Yeah, yeah. That's interesting. So there's two directions I want to go from that. One, tying back to your, I want a profitable exit in 5 years. I'm signing up for that too. You know, I am not getting any younger, and I don't know what that looks like yet. And I will
Mhm,
say maybe I won't want to exit in 5 years, but I want to be building it so that I can if I choose to. Right.
mhm.
One of the things that I think I've slacked on in the last couple of years, or I know that I've slacked on, that I think is going to impact that negatively, so this is the year that's going to change, is building my email list. I
Mhm.
need to put a real effort into building my email list. And if that means ads, it's going to be ads, whatever it's going to be. For me, it's going to be a lot of visibility as well. You know, being interviewed on other people's shows, getting in front of other people's audiences, doing more speaking. But I've got a commitment for 2025 to create a new lead magnet a month. Every month, create a new
Wow,
lead
that's
magnet.
ambitious.
And I know. Well, you know what? It's not that I have a lot of this stuff already. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it's really less about the creating of it and more about that's the marketing. So instead of doing live launches like you were talking about doing, this is the marketing that I want to be bringing. I want to be doing that, because I think that there's a lot of sub content that I can bring to my audience that I don't bring to the public. I only bring to the people inside my audience, right? So,
Mhm.
so for example, we've got, if you have not yet gotten it, what we're doing for January is kind of just re-energizing our quiz. We've got a what's your marketing style quiz. So if you go to linkedinquiz.com, you can take the what's your marketing style quiz. And what it does is gives people a sense of who I am and what I do. I think it's really valuable. I spent a ton of time on it, and it's got like right brain, left brain stuff in there, right? There's lots of strategy based on your answers, but also some energetic stuff, right? We've got visualizations for each style and a couple of other fun things. And for February, we're just going really hardcore, not hardcore, but really like simple lead magnet with a checklist, right? A LinkedIn and PR checklist. I've got a list here, and I thought of one thing. I was supposed to do a talk recently that I didn't do. I ended up having to reschedule, but I really loved the talk topic. So I'm like, all right, so maybe I'll record that and we'll do, that'll be another lead magnet. So that's one of the things that I'm going to be doing, because I think the size of your email list impacts your valuation. Right. And I think too, if we do, and it's not just about having the numbers, right? The goal is to have a lead magnet that leads to people joining your programs, right? And things like
Yeah,
that.
and
So,
engagement. I mean, that's
right.
what people are paying for, is engagement. I agree with the email list. And I had basically abandoned my email list last year. There was just so much going on. I had a content manager for a while, then I let her go. I didn't have anyone, then I took it back on. And thank God for AI and using AI well.
Mm-hmm.
So we now mail to our mailing list twice a week,
Mm-hmm.
and it's nurture. It's
Right.
nurture emails. Not everything is promo, but I love that idea of a challenge of a new lead magnet every single month. And I agree that growing your list. So we have a team of people, and Karen, you may have an opinion on this. We hired a team of people who use technology along with Sales Navigator to uh, create a lot of new connections for us on LinkedIn. In
Mm-hmm.
fact, LinkedIn flagged me a couple of weeks ago and said, are you using technology? Do you agree to our rules? And I said, yes, of course I agree to your rules. So we're cooling off on that. Last year, I had someone who was a human who was reaching out to people using Sales Navigator, making those new connections. And but the slow process was taking those connections and converting them to the email list. And so I think, that is the holy grail. If you can have tens of thousands of connections on LinkedIn, but if they're not on your email list, you
Right.
really don't own
Well,
them.
I mean,
And
look
then
what just
it's
happened
not
in
added
January.
value.
TikTok closed its doors for a day, right? So, it was another eye opener that we don't own any of these sites. But here's the other thing I think, Deb, I'm looking forward to with this lead magnet a month challenge that I've challenged myself with. I think it will also re-engage my existing email list because I'm hoping they're going to be interested in these things. Right now they're getting, they get an email about the podcast every week and lots of people open and listen to that, which I'm grateful for. But I'm excited that I'm going to be able to provide more content to the people on my email list without them having to like bite-sized content, right? Not
Yep.
like, spend a week with me kind of content. So we'll see. We'll see. Like, again, it's all about trying different things. But for me, it feels also a little bit like going back to basics.
Hmm.
And I think that's a big part of what I'm doing. I think, my background and yours as well is corporate. It was human to human marketing and somehow I feel like in the last 10 years, I let myself get into this digital marketing, I don't know, like whirlwind, right? And it served me very well, right? I'm not complaining about that at all, but it's not working the way it used to work anymore. So for
Yeah.
me, I'm going back to basics.
Yeah. It stopped working for everybody. It
Yeah.
stopped working for the really, really big digital marketing gurus too.
Right.
So, it's like the world shifted last year. So I love that. And just another plug for memberships, what I get to do in the membership is because I have so much content, I can drip content to them
Yes.
that they need, that they've never been exposed to, that adds value so that I am a little bit more omnipresent in that community without actually having to be there. So we have like 10-day challenges. We have those 5-day master classes. I always change them up. So we probably have 4 or 5 different 5 session programs that we can drip out over the course of the year. And also, taking a piece out of your program. So I teach about outsmarting self-sabotage in the Launch Lab. So we're teaching how to outsmart self-sabotage in the community today. So I think if you're a more established entrepreneur looking at your portfolio of marketing assets and monetizing what you already have that's still relevant is, so I'm summarizing, I always do this. And then what Karen said, looking at what the market needs right now and creating something of value that they're willing to invest their email address in order to have access to.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. So what else? What else, Deb? What is there anything that's kind of making you cringe a little bit, like outside of your comfort zone, like things that because it sounds like you're really got in the groove with all the things we've talked about so far. Is there anything that feels a little bit like, I really want to try this, but I'm not really sure?
Yeah, I think where I have never really invested time is with referral partner relationships or affiliate partner relationships. And part of this is the cringy part is I am so good at giving. And I know this about myself. I'm not that great at receiving and I'm not that great at asking.
Mhm.
And so the stretch for me that's going to put me outside of my comfort zone is I'm going to ask more. And in fact, I was just going back and forth with a new connection on LinkedIn and direct message this morning. And, she had been invited to our community and she said, no, thanks. And I said, is there anything else is there anyone else in my community I can introduce you to? Are there any resources you're looking to get access to or anything, any other way I can help? She said, not right now. How about you? And normally I would have just like brushed that off. But then I got on a voice note and I said, well, actually, I'm looking to speak on different stages. And if you already, part of our conversation was she was connected to all these other communities that were already serving her. If you know of a community of newish women entrepreneurs where I could add some value, I'd love an introduction. So I think speaking and
That's great.
being consistent with that ask to speak on stages, because I know, like you said, Karen, the in real life, whether it's in real life or on Zoom, when
Hmm.
you get on other people's platforms and you can share your expertise, you always walk away with some new referrals or some new clients.
Right. Right. I love that. And it's interesting. I sent out an email this week and one of the things I put in there was that commitment, that I have a commitment to be on more stages. And then I literally put in parentheses, who do you know? Introduce me to somebody. I mean, I've got, many thousands of people on my email list. They may know people that can introduce me to a stage, right? Why, so, and again, though, that takes me back to basics, right? These are the back to basics things that I somehow got away from, I mean, I can hire people to help me get on stages and I can do all these things, but I have this community, I have this network, and that's where I really want to spend my time this year, is really nurturing the people I have and building that network, and maximizing it, and also providing whatever value, I can provide. Because I think a lot of entrepreneurs are probably, especially women entrepreneurs, probably when you said, I'm really good at giving and not that great at receiving, we're kind of shaking their head when you said that.
Yeah, probably. I think it's a woman thing in general, the whole caregiver gene, and also generationally too. When I grew up, it was like women were, and also all the cultural conditioning and corporate conditioning, we just work harder. So anyway, Karen, what are you saying no to this year?
Well, I'm saying no to a lot this year. I have really looked at my I really looked at what I'm doing, and I've really trimmed it down. I've trimmed down the organizations that I belong to, because I want to dive deeper into a few of them than being all over the place. But one of the things, because I saying no to some of the maybe virtual organizations that I've been a part of is giving me a little bit more time to say yes to maybe showing up in person to some local events, right? To local networking things. I mean, I live right outside of New York City. I know you do too. I can probably find an amazing event a week to go to, right? And I think in this current climate, I think that's better for me and for my business and for the way that I work with people to be doing that. So I'm trying to say no to a lot of the things that were on my to-do list, so that it made space on my calendar for those kind of things. A funny thing is, my assistant, there's something we need to meet and get together about. And she said to me yesterday, is your calendar really completely free on Thursday? Like, she was like booking herself. She was looking at my calendar to put herself on. I'm like, it is. Can you believe that? But I know, right? I'm truly like working on getting all of the things on my calendar that don't serve this purpose that we've been talking about here today.
Yeah. Yeah. Last year I had Fridays that were my CEO days, which was really special. And then when I took content back on again, I had to open up those days. I'm saying no to coffee chats. So I've always said no to coffee chats, but it's a hard no right now. So when we first engaged this LinkedIn strategy firm, they were booking people on my calendar, and they were absolutely ice cold calls. And I'm thinking,
well aware.
Sorry. Oh yes. And then, then and no disrespect, but I'm having conversations with people who have been entrepreneurs for a hot minute, and they're trying to collaborate with me and share connections and opportunities. Right. And so that's a hard no. So the strategy needs to shift and change, because she ain't got time for that. And so then using marketing. So to your original point, Karen, how can we use our marketing to really warm up our audience and get people off of LinkedIn into rooms? So I love conversations. I love even Zoom rooms in person. Yeah, you have to join our Luminary Entrepreneur Network in New York City. We are navigating the messy middle together. So it's people like us and you can come in, you can share with that.
I know we've talked about this before and I haven't done it.
Yeah. And Ruchi Pinniger, and Ruchi is one of my co-leaders.
Well, and we're going to link to her. She's been on the show not long ago, only a couple months ago, I think.
Yeah. So, the community gets really small, folks, when you start to hang out with the right people, and they can make connections for you. They can introduce speaking engagements for you. So yes, less time on cold calls, more time warming up the audience. And I'm just super excited about the membership. I'm pouring a lot into understanding what makes a membership tick, because I'm super excited to building that group to 500 members. That brings a lot of value to that community and brings a lot of value to me and my business as well.
That's awesome. All right. So where can everybody find you? What else is it what is there anything I didn't ask you that I should have asked you?
No, I don't think so. I think, what we shared was the inner workings of like what's on my mind right now in 2025 and how am I showing up differently. People in your community who you really want to elevate their voices. This was a really fun way to do it. I know I had fun, Karen. Did
I
you have
know, I
fun?
did too. I did too. It was great. It was great. I feel, and it was literally, we decided to do this 3 minutes before we hit the record button, so it was very organic and not at all scripted. So, it was fun. It was
If
fun.
you're curious about any of the other things that we mentioned, drop me a note in direct message on LinkedIn. That always gets my attention, and we'll take it from there.
Yeah, I always say that my direct messages on LinkedIn is the most profitable piece of online real estate in my business. And you all should be thinking about it that way, because so many people say to me, "Oh, I get so much spam from people." I'm like, if your inbox is all spam, that tells me you're not messaging people, that you're not having any real conversations there, that you're just reactive. Once you get a little proactive there, that LinkedIn DMs is
And
hugely
people are really
profitable.
open.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Karen, where can my audience connect with
Same,
you?
same. DM me on LinkedIn, subscribe to the show, and LinkedInquiz.com if you want to get a sense of who I am and how I show up. I do believe that, I do believe that I love strategy. I can talk about strategy all day long, every day, but all the strategy in the world isn't going to get you there if your energy isn't aligned with the
Mm.
ambitions that you have. So I do spend a lot of time on that as well. And the LinkedIn quiz is a great way to get a taste of both sides of that. So
Oh, I'm excited to take that quiz.
yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. All right. Well, thank you so much, Deb, for being here today. This was fun. If you want more of the Karen and Deb show, come on over to Entrepreneurs Unfiltered. You can certainly catch it in our on either one of our LinkedIn activity feeds. You can find them there.
Mhm.
And at this moment in time, we have no plans to stop. So 2 p.m. every Tuesday for the foreseeable future.
And I think that's a wrap, my friends.